Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from our studios at the Capital Region International Airport. We're very fortunate, actually, today to have on a very interesting cadre of guests. And I'll tell you what we're going to do here is we're going to have you all introduce yourselves. And Kelli, we'll start with you.
I'm Kelli Saunders, Vice President of Policy and Engagement at the Small Business Association of Michigan. Happy to be here. Chris, always good to see you as a former past board chair of SBAM, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, that does not seem like it was yesterday either, by the way, but it was a while back, but great organization. Wendy, why don't you jump in?
Sure. I'm Wendy Block. I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Advocacy for the Michigan Chamber. And like Kelli, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, it's great to have you folks here. It really is. Okay, so Joshua?
Josh Lunger, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Grand Rapids Chamber. Thanks for the invite.
It's great to have you here as well. So let's start off with this. Kelli, what are we talking about? Because there's a lot of things going on. We're in this kind of lame duck session, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to impact business.
It's really hard to encapsulate all the things that, to be honest, we're fighting right now. This is probably one of the most chaotic and active lame ducks I think that Lansing has seen in many years. A lot at threat to our business community, small, medium, and large alike. And so what I'll let my counterparts also talk about today is some of the things that we've been dealing with over the last week: expansion of unemployment insurance when it comes to weeks and benefits, but also trying to fight back things like a gut to the workers' compensation system, impacting our cities with what we call a Death Star bill. And so I think what I'll do is pivot maybe over to Wendy at the Chamber to talk a little bit about the workers' compensation legislation that was voted out of the Senate committee today, and what that could do to our business community if that were to move forward.
Yeah, Wendy, save us. I mean, this is almost crazy stuff.
It is. And frankly, kind of jaw-dropping. When we saw this legislation introduced, you immediately had this reaction that says, no way can this get through. And here we are in the lame duck session, the final days, and really, in a dogfight on this issue and frankly, many others, where you look at just these progressive policy proposals that are on the table and a real threat at this point. But as it relates to Michigan's workers' compensation system, this is a system that we've had in place since 1912. Basically, if a worker gets injured on the job, regardless of fault, the employee is eligible for not only the cost of their medical services, but also for what we call wage loss replacement. You get paid because you're injured, right? And you have your income available to you. And this really revisits many of the fundamental principles of the workers' compensation system going back to 1912. Proponents of this legislation, primarily the Michigan Association of Justice, or our Plaintiffs' Attorney Association in Michigan, and some of the labor unions, are saying, well, no, they just want to turn back the clock on some changes that were made in 2011. But we fundamentally disagree with that statement and the fact that that is all that this legislation does. And frankly, that even if they were just trying to do that, that's a lot of changes. And we're just very concerned about this legislation all the way around. It's very costly. It's very aggressive, and really will set Michigan back in terms of its competitiveness as it relates to the system. And when you add that on top of other policy changes, of course, that's where that cumulative effect comes in and really becomes a significant concern for our state moving forward.
It was kind of interesting because Leo was sharing the state's positive view on this action. So I guess we're looking at, what kinds of things, should we be worried about, but also what can we do at this point? Josh, you might want to grab that.
Yeah, it's like hard to keep track of everything we're doing. We talked a little bit about the workers' comp. The other thing we that's kind of coming at us hard right now is this idea that local governments could set employment benefit levels if a project receives any incentive. And it's being sold as an idea that it's, a narrowly targeted change, but it's actually very expansive in that, in urban environments, we've been doing a ton of projects in Grand Rapids that are very exciting. The incentives are necessary in order for projects to move forward. And often we still we still need to figure out how do we layer different items, particularly for housing development, which everyone is saying is a crisis in this state. If this bill passes, the very conversation that could even happen at a city commission level or at a local board will be a direct discouragement of folks investing. The uncertainty it creates, I think, is it's unfortunate because it's hard to measure it. But these type of policies adopted will kill projects and will drive away the growth that we're trying to see. I don't know if I can sound the alarm enough, the damage this could do to Michigan for a generation. And it's frankly frustrating that we're ramming this through with little understanding of how much impact it'll have in our metro areas in Michigan.
Unbelievable. So let's talk a little bit again about, is there anything the business community can jump up at this late hour and help with? I mean,
Yeah,
calling
absolutely.
legislators, right?
Yeah, I'll just say all of our respective organizations have a way for you to engage with your legislators. If you go to any of our websites, we have certainly calls to action up in order on how to contact your state representative and your state senator, as well as the governor, to make sure that you can fill out essentially like a form. It gives you the narrative on what you're communicating on all these respective issues. And speak into the system. Tell them how this affects your business and get engaged that way. If they hear from you, they listen to, they hear Josh and Wendy and I every day, all day, but you as a business owner are the ones that get across what these policies do to your business and how detrimental they are. And I'll let my other colleagues jump in there too, but it's so imperative that they hear from you.
Yeah, and I think what people sometimes don't realize is that lawmakers work for their constituents. They work for us, right? And so a lot of times lawmakers will say, well, I'm hearing about this from you in Lansing, but I haven't heard about this back home. And that's really where the magic starts to happen, is when a legislator hears from someone like myself or Kelli or Josh, and they hear about the dangers of this proposal. And then they go home and they're at a coffee shop or they're at the grocery store or they're at their office hours, and it comes up time and time again. And then that's where that light bulb moment starts to happen, where a legislator says like, oh, this isn't just a Lansing thing. My constituents are paying attention. They have expectations of how I'm going to vote. And all of a sudden, it's like they're serious about working with us to either stop something or to help something pass. And we haven't really talked about, this effort on earned sick time and minimum wage. But I mean, that is a huge issue for us, and one where the business community has been really loud, but needs to continue to really make their voices heard.
It's kind of interesting because there's really two areas of education we need to make. There are an amazing number of businesses out there who don't know about any of this.
Yeah. Huh.
And you always inform them after, and they're like, "Oh gosh, thanks for saving me." And the other are again, like you said, legislators who depend so heavily on staff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Will notify them of whatever that case may be. Well, listen, you're all out there beating the drums. Are there any last minute issues that need to be added to this pile?
Well, I think we need to really hit on, and I know I'm a single issue person lately on earned sick time. We've talked about it so much. To Wendy's point, I think the reason we even have a shot is because so many businesses, small business owners, business operators have sent that small, authentic, hey, Mr. or Miss Legislator, I've been in this, community for 30 years, and this is going to put me out of business. Like that authentic 2-sentence communication makes all the world of difference. But we are really, we've got a few days left, and I don't think we quite, as a state, understand how impactful this freight train's coming at us on February 21st. There isn't time. And if we can't get it done in this lame duck session, we're threading the needle now. I don't even know what analogy you use for trying to get something fixed next year. And the impact it will have, particularly on small businesses, hospitality, the ones that are already struggling, the places where we gather, the places that make communities awesome, those are the folks that are going to bear the burden. And we need them to keep speaking up. I know a lot of them have done it, but we also need our legislators to listen. And the asks that us and our colleagues have put forth are not reducing benefits. They are trying to make this workable. I know we have a bias for ourselves, but we have been as compromising as you can imagine in terms of in putting something out there that's approachable for people across the political spectrum, but we need action.
Well, I'll tell you what else. I applaud at you all because these are not organizations that always work together. And it was really great that you came with a united front on this. So I think that'll give them some idea of the broad spectrum they're dealing with. At any rate, Kelli Saunders, Vice President, Policy and Engagement at SBAM. Thanks for being with me. Wendy Block, Senior Vice President of Business Advocacy at the Michigan Chamber, and Josh Lunger, Vice President of Government Affairs at Grand Rapids Chamber. Keep up the good work. Get us under the wire, right? This is like a movie where you slide under the closing gate, and we're trying to get there, right? All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right. You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman. We'll be back with more.